I am Mark Heinlein, and today is March 24th, 2021, and you are watching NTCA's Roundtable Live. And today is a fantastic program. Today we are meeting NTCA's tile industry's recognized consultants. This is a terrific group of people that we have here on our program today in the panel. We have a total of 10 people, and all of these consultants are experts in the tile industry and recognized nationally for what they do to support you, to support the tile industry, and help make our installations and our projects as best as they can be. We're going to hear from each and every consultant today. Let's go ahead and get started right now, and we're going to start in alphabetical order. And our first consultant today is Mr. Dave Gobus. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Mark.
Dave, what can you tell us about yourself and your company, and what would you like our audience to know about consulting in general?
I'd like to start with what they should know about consulting in general.
Okay.
Call before, not after. After's too late. All right, so I was a tile contractor. I had a contracting business for 28 years. Sold that, and then I got recruited to start CTF, of which I was there 10 years. And then when I left there, TCA said, hey, would you mind still taking a few phone calls now and then? And that turned into consulting gigs since 2008. So I've been doing consulting ever since then. I always stuck with tile, never been involved in anything else. Don't do much tile anymore. I'm too fat and too old, too difficult. But now and then, so I've done work all around the country. I managed to accumulate several million miles between Delta and American. Very little consulting work is local. Seems like you always got to get in the plane. However, now I'm no longer flying. I'll work a 500-mile radius because that's what I feel I can comfortably drive. And I don't care how much money it is or how big the job is. I ain't going no further than 500 miles. I'll send it to one of these other wonderful gentlemen. They can have it.
Thank you, Dave.
Hey, no problem.
Thank you.
I think I've sent work to every single one of you, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that. I believe it.
So that's kind of what I do. I'm more on the forensic side of things. I have, you can't see them here, but I have some microscopes and some electronic equipment and stuff. And so I analyze a lot of products, a lot of complaints. It's just something I kind of grew into because originally CTF was located where the TCNA lab is now. So I kind of have an extra helping of testing. Because that's where we were located. Before we moved, we were in that building. So I got to know all the tests and the test protocol and everything else pretty well. And now I look at a lot of different stuff. I look at grout, I look at thin set. If it gets too complicated, I send it out to CTL group, Construction Technologies Labs, which is the Laboratory Arm of the Portland Cement Institute. Still do some work. Probably did, I don't know. I don't think I've done a dozen projects yet this year, but I don't know. Still bebopping along. If you want somebody to travel, call one of these other guys, not me.
Dave, before we go, what sort of failure do you see most frequently? Can you lay your finger on one type of failure that happens most frequently that you're involved with?
No movement joints, number one. And I used to just say off the cuff, 70% of the jobs I looked at were due to no movement joints and something. And somebody called me out on it. So I actually went back and audited a year's worth of work, and plus I took track of another 6 months worth of work, 18 months total. I actually don't remember the number of jobs, but it was hundreds. And the average was 68% of the projects I look at are no movement joints and something. Spot bonding, poor coverage, overwatered thin set, whatever.
Yeah.
That's my experience.
Mhm.
In residential, it's leaky showers. Everybody thinks they're a shower expert, and as a real tile guy knows, showers are not tile 101. But you know, a lot of these manufacturers are trying to convincing guys that showers are tile 101. It don't work that way. So leaky showers really has to be the other one. And then I get a lot of complaints about epoxy grout and acrylic grouts and urethane grouts being left. A lot of grout haze complaints. Um, a lot of overwatering grout. You know, grout's the number one setting material manufacturer complaint. And I won't say that they're all due to installer error, but the larger portion of them are. And if you think that I can look at grout and I can pretty much, I've looked at so much of it, I can pretty much tell you what you did. And it gets interesting.
It sure does. Dave Gobus, I know our time is short with everyone here. I'm really glad we got to meet you today. Can you tell us, Dave, how can people best contact you?
No.
Okay. I'll show everybody later in the program here how to find
contact us.
how to contact all of you on NTCA's website. I'll demonstrate.
I'll say this, I guess, before you do that.
Okay.
I do email only. Don't call me. I won't answer the phone. I will not answer the phone. You're welcome to send me an email. If you're too lazy to send me an email, then don't talk to me at all.
Perfect. That's what we need to know. All right, Dave, thank you very much, sir. And thanks for being here, everybody. That was Dave Gobus. And I want to move on now to our next consultant, Mr. Donato Pompo. Donato, can you tell us about yourself and your company?
Yes, hello everybody. I'm Donato Pompo. I kind of grew up in the industry. My father was in the tile industry. So early on, I was in the union as an installer in Los Angeles, California. And then after being drafted in the military, went to college, have a biochemistry education with an MBA. I spent 17 years as an importer and distributor of tile and stone. I was a sales manager at Laticrete International for 7 years. After that, I've had my company, Ceramic Tile and Stone Consultants, for over 18 years, going on 19. We do a number of different things. We are licensed C54 contractors in California, although we don't do any installation work other than if it's related to investigations. We do a lot of forensic investigations all over the country. We got multiple jobs in Florida, New York, Texas, Chicago, California, of course, Arizona. So we get around the country quite a bit, even in spite of the COVID this last year. We actually had our biggest year ever. We employ strict COVID protocols to make sure our guys are traveling safe. They all travel first class. They have to wear masks, gloves. So we make sure that everything is done in a safe manner. But we also do testing, shear bond testing, tensile testing. In fact, we just had a new shear bond ASTM standard C1823 that was based on a apparatus that I helped develop over 10 years ago that we've used over the last 10 years. So now we have a an actual shear bond test protocol, which is now being added to the building code for 2022. I also I'm the owner and operator of the University of Ceramic Tile and Stone. We develop online training courses for training the industry, both from a technical point of view. We have a course on teaching installers what the industry standards are, practices and methods for tile for various applications, from gauge porcelain tiles to mosaic tiles to showers and other applications. We also have courses on natural stone and ceramic tile, teaching the basics of those products, and also with a sales emphasis. So it's good for not only showroom people, but it's good for installers, because I mean, we're all salesmen in one form or another. So we need to, in our communications with our clients, so it teaches professional salesmanship. We also have a course on teaching how to write an architectural specification for ceramic tile and natural stone, and working with architects. We do a lot of quality control work. It's probably almost 50% of our work that we do around the country, where we're actually writing specifications and then doing quality assurance testing, and then actually being on the job during the installation, providing guidance. Our inspectors are seasoned installers with many years of experience, so they can actually provide the hands-on training to the installers to make sure that industry standards and the specifications are being followed properly. In terms of issues out there, I mean, we see a lot of water-related problems, particularly on exterior decks, and also in some interior applications in terms of shower pans and etc. That's one of the biggest issues. I mean, sometimes, quite often the surface slope isn't what it should be in terms of a 1/4 inch per foot. But more important is what the underlying slope is at the membrane. If your membrane is flat and water is going through the joints, going down there, and has no way out, which it's amazing from, I mean, we do a lot of commercial as well as large residential projects. If the water has no way out, then particularly with natural stone, it gets subjected to a consistent source of moisture, which that mortar bed ends up becoming a reservoir, if you will, so that it never escapes the moisture, and that's a problem. And one of the things that, is typical is that when there's a problem, it's never due to one deficiency. It's always due to multiple compounding deficiencies. So sometimes, you can get away with one deficiency and not have a failure, but when you start getting multiple things going wrong, that's when you have problems. Thin set contact is an issue, particularly on exterior veneers. We've got a couple of those going on right now where, you get guys who just don't know better. They apply the thin set in a spot bonded method or in a haphazard method, or they don't properly prepare the substrate. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in an installation that can lead to a problem. So our approach is always that we try never to condemn an installation. We always try to look for a solution to do repairs, because nobody wins when everything has to get torn out. So we try to be proactive, and we are an objective firm. We're an honest firm. We tell it like it is. We tell our clients, we're gonna, we'll look out for your best interest in any legitimate way that we can, but we're gonna tell it like it is, and at least help you in one way or another to either defend yourself or to minimize your liability if we can.
Donato Pompo, thank you very much. That is a terrific explanation of who you are and how important education and training and use of the tile industry standards is. And I find it very interesting that a consultant isn't there only for failures. You're there for proactively making sure that the installation is correct before it even starts. So thank you very much, Donato Pompo. I will be showing everybody how to find you and the rest of the consultants soon on NTCA's website. Thank you, sir. Let's move on to our next consultant, and we're shifting now from California to the state of Florida, and Mr. Frank Canto. Hello, Frank.
Hello, everybody. Well, one thing I'd like to thank Donato. He made me take one of his courses, and I barely passed it, but he's really contributed to our industry with his University of Ceramic Tile and all the things you do for this industry. Donato, it's just, I want to thank you personally. He really filled a very big need in our industry, and a great job at it too as well. So thanks again. Also like to thank Dave Gobus for the recommendations that he sends me down. Dave, thank you so much. And really all you guys, I think it's a great circle of people that are located all throughout the country, and we're able to do all the things that we're talking about. We knew there was a need back in we knew there's a need for a good, competent consultants 20 years ago. And I think in 2010 is when we instituted. Is that correct? Do I have that right, guys? So it's been in existence 12 years. And at the time, I didn't think I would it wasn't part of my thinking at the time. I was still contracting, but I had always done consulting. People get to know you in an area, know that you've been doing a long time. Of course, the architects are going to call you and so on. You guys know what I'm saying. And it's great that, again, with this circle, I've gone to Greg and asked Greg questions, and Rich and Donato. We've all gone back and forth. I tell some of my clients, I don't know everything, but I damn sure know a lot of people that do. So, and that's what's great. We have such a great outreach. We all work together, I think. And I also feel that sometimes we're providing a public service. I'm thrilled I was selected to do a 26-story office build. Actually, it's not office. It's condos, a hotel, and Jeff Bennick, the owner of the Tampa Bay Lightning, has the penthouse overlooking Amalie Arena where they do have the Lightning. But I'm overseeing 3 tile contractors, and from the very get-go, and I couldn't ask for more fun because I'm not responsible for anything, but I'm overseeing everything that they're doing, making sure that we have warranties in place, or we're not using materials from Home Depot and Lowe's and Floor and Decor. We're not building a Frankenstein, which we all see. Frankenstein is where they're going everywhere to buy materials, no warranty for anything. But kind of my background, I learned the trade from my dad. About 83, I was about 33, and I was offered a job working at Craig Tile. Well, this guy the owner was tremendous. He was a great salesman. He had no clue how to he'd never set one piece of tile at all. And his screwdriver at home was a butter knife. So I learned a lot from him on the business side, and he made a zillion connections for me. And when I was with him, we did, I make country clubs, restaurants, car dealers, hospitals, schools. I did the Bucks training facility and Brian Glazer's house, Jeff Vinnick's house. I've done 4 baseball players, including everybody remembers this, Derek Jeter, who Tom Brady now lives in that house. Well, we were lucky to get him, weren't we? I don't know if anybody's some football fans there, but I do have a state certified contractor's license, which qualifies me in the 17 counties that require a competency license, tile competency. And there's 59 counties, and I would like to see our state, which we tried this 25, 30 years ago to get state licensing, and not only in Florida, but it was for everywhere. And maybe this is for another discussion, but maybe it's something that NTCA could help in a way of national support. And I know the way to get things done is with the crowd, and because we changed some license requirements here, and it took all of our suppliers, installers, contractors show up at these meetings and prove this is what we need to do for the industry. But again, that's another story, another chapter maybe we could talk about. But licensing, it doesn't correct all the ills. Even in this area, they don't enforce it like they should. But that's the thing I'd like to see in the future. I travel all over Florida, and I'm same thing that Dave said. It's always movement joints and something else. And Donato, same thing. It's not one thing, two things. The three things is probably, more than one can cause a failure. And like I say, 99% of the time, it is installation, labor, non-qualified people doing the work. But I enjoyed the front part, the planning, which I did a lot in contracting, showing people where to put the depressions, how deep to make the depression, that type of thing. And now I'm back in it again, but I love this part of it. I enjoy it. And so I do quality control. I had, matter of fact, this past Thursday, about 25 of this project that I'm talking about, the 26-story, I had, which some of might be watching, we had a lunch and learn, and I showed them every video, starting out with the history of NTCA and the trial and error, all the different, we watched for an hour and a half. And it was a great, at the end, they all went, we had no idea. But now they have their eyes in the field now. They know what to watch for. And great, I enjoy to see that learning, even if it is the superintendents and project managers. At least we're spreading that knowledge out there. So that's my thing. If you want to go to the next, I thank you for having me.
Frank Canto, thank you for being here today. And I love how you point out that the NTCA truly is national. We have a nationwide group here helping every profession within the tile industry improve and be better. And it is so incredibly important. Thank you for all that you do. Moving on to our next consultant, and we are crisscrossing our country here because it is truly national. We don't have any state borders in this association. And moving on to Greg Mowat. Greg?
Well, thank you, Mark. I'm Greg Mowat. I'm with Forensic Tile Consultants in San Diego. This is my 31st year in business. I got my start in the tile industry back in 1978 when I was the executive director of the Ceramic Tile Marble Institute of San Diego for 8.5 years. Then I went to Del Piso Brick and Tile for 4 years as a distributor, and now 31 years on my own and continuing. Number one failure is lack of trained employees. The trial and error video is excellent. Everyone should have a copy of it, understand NTCA 108.5, requirements for proper installation. Still not sure where that 80% comes in for interior. Everything should be 95% or work toward 100% coverage. Spot setting is a major problem with inexperienced or untrained employees. Creates nothing but problems and failures. I do use NTCA contractors for recommendations, for making recommendations for doing the repair work on many failures. I'm a consultant, and only when designated do I become an expert witness, part of the legal terminology. Veneers, typically the problems are expansion joints, spot setting, as major failures. Early 2000, we did a lot of education on showers. We backed out of that because everyone else is doing that now. Number one is making sure the membrane's properly sloped. be aware the 2018 Uniform Plumbing Code says that you can have a slope of 1/8 of an inch in a shower, especially for a curbless shower assembly. Gang showers, pay attention to them. Commercial kitchen floors, everything needs a slope to drain, proper waterproofing, proper waterproofing wrapped up walls. I heard floors are cost driven. We're not seeing as many failures from the floor covering design centers that we used to. Most of them have trained their employees. We're seeing a lot of independent floor failures. A lot of high-end Beverly Hills type homes with workmanship issues, time after time. Understanding your membranes, making sure that your peel and stick membranes, you don't go thicker than 3/8 of an inch mortar over the top of it. And the list goes on. Lack of oversight is a major problem. More so, it's the contractor. A contractor must be responsible for having trained employees. Back to you, Mark.
Greg, there's one thing that I always would think of and like to remind people that tiling ain't easy. There's nothing simple about it, is there? All of those things that you just mentioned require a high degree of expertise and training. As being fortunate to be the NTCA training director, I would strongly suggest that companies look to train their people through our programs, or a program like Donato has. Very important, isn't it?
Agreed. I teamed up with Pro Installer Magazine 8 years ago. And so I'm writing a quarterly article for Pro Installer Magazine regarding the different areas of installation.
We will seek that out. Greg Moat, thank you very much, sir. And thank you for all you do for us. And I know that you help Rob and Randy and I stay on the straight and narrow too. We appreciate that. You're part of our team.
You're welcome.
Okay. Moving on to our next consultant is Mr. James Wellful. James is physically located in the state of Arizona. James.
Hey, Mark. Hey, guys. My name is James Wellfell. I'm a third-generation tile contractor. My brother, Justin's the one who brought me into standards. He invited me to a meeting, and I kind of found a place at home in the standards. I like to argue in the standards. I'm good at that. I sit on the TCA handbook. I sit on ANSI, and I'm also chairman of the NTCA technical committee. I got into consulting. My dad was a consultant previous, and Bob Young, as everybody knows, I met Bob many times, and my dad always told me to listen to what Bob Young says. And I feel the same way about Rich Donato and Dave as my dad feels about Bob Young. So, and Greg obviously is a great consultant. I've met him and I've been on jobs with him as well. The biggest failures I see are lack of movement joints, going back to what Dave said, coupled with lack of coverage, that one usually exposes the other, one way or the other. Mm-hmm. Is a lack of movement joints usually exposes lack of coverage. And I see it constantly. I've looked at $2 million in failures in the last 2 months because of lack of movement joints, both vertically and horizontally. I am a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, Frank, so you know that. So,
good reason to be now.
Well, I've always been a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan.
Yeah.
You sent me a tile from $1 Place, remember?
Yeah.
And that just gets under Niall's skin because obviously he's not a Buccaneer fan.
That's still not a reason.
But I travel. I've been to Atlanta, Dallas, San Francisco in the last 3 months. I basically got involved because I got tired of answering questions for free. Even my competitors would call me and ask me what's going on to help them. And I'm like, why am I helping my competitors without being fairly compensated for it? I try to pick the brains of other consultants. You know, I talked to Rich about things. I talked to Donato. I talked to Dave, Niall, and Martin. we talk a lot on the phone, or not as much, but I talk to Martin and Niall a lot on the phone about discussing different issues. So if I don't have the answer, I try to get the answer for somebody else. In fact, right now I'm looking through the MIA design manual to try to figure something out on the countertop. So all my reports are based on industry standards, best practices, and specifications.
Tile industry standards, methods, best practices, specifications, manufacturer instructions. If you heard James, the first things that he said were he's participating in the groups with standards. He's the chairman of the NTCA technical committee, and that's where all of our methods, standards, and best practices come from. And those are written, James, because the contractors, specifiers, we can refer to those and rely on them to produce a quality installation, right?
Yeah, correct. I mean, part of the problem is that I see, besides the tract home or the home business, the home builder business, which is a lack of oversight and lack of talent. But on the commercial side, I see tile contractors not knowing how to read the specifications and not knowing how to follow manufacturers' recommendations. The discussion before, on every bag of mortar you look at, the mortar manufacturer tells you to install it per ANSI 108.5, and it tells you to install movement joints per EJ 171. Every single bag that the mortar manufacturers put out. And those are the two biggest issues I see in the industry.
Could you, James, before we move on, you said something really interesting. Could you describe a little bit more about the lack of oversight? Tell us what exactly you mean by that.
Well, right now in our industry, since we're so far down tile, very good quality, qualified tile installers, the same as above them. I mean, I've been on plenty of, I think Frank and I probably look at a lot of tract home builders and installations. And like I was telling Frank, I mean, you've got, in Phoenix, they're going to build 25,000 houses this year. And you're trying to get 25,000 installations done in 1 year. Mm-hmm. And there's not enough talent to go around.
Numbers don't work. Numbers don't work, yeah.
And even the superintendents that are over them are stretched thin. But even those superintendents that are over the installer have no idea what the NTCA or what the TCNA handbook is, period. I gave an example the other day on a phone call, on an ANSI phone call. I just looked at a $500,000 stone failure here in Scottsdale. And there's no movement joints, period, in the entire installation, exterior. 24 by 48, 36 by 36 limestone. And I asked the installer, you know what EJ 171 is? He's like, no. And I said, well, do you know what this book is? And I held up the book, and he had no idea what it is. So he's doing $500,000 worth of work, having no idea what the standards are.
Failures everywhere. And I can tell you, it doesn't feel great when you get a phone call and it's maybe the owner of a brand new home, and they're in tears because they have a terrible tile installation. That doesn't make any of us feel well, and it doesn't help our industry, does it?
Yep.
James Wellfall, thank you very much, sir, for all that you do and for all of the support. And one other thing I want to just say again, this group communicates with each other. Did you hear that? They talk to each other and bounce ideas and questions off of each other. So that is a terrific example for the rest of us to follow. Moving on to our next consultant is Mr. Martin Brooks, who also happens to be the current president of the NTCA. Martin.
Hey, Mark. Well, it's an honor to be in the room with some of the people here. Just an amazing wealth of knowledge and expertise right there. So I'm just honored to be alongside these fine people. I am a C54, C29 in California, which is both masonry and tile. I also do expert witness, industry expert, and subject matter expert for the state of California in developing exams for both masonry and tile. Also for job complaints that are sent to the state. Regionally, they'll call me and I go out and document it. And I've also done many court hearings with the state of California too, through complaints. It's amazing how many installers out there are unaware that actually standards exist, and how many, even as licensed contractors, don't even know about that TCNA exists or NTCA exists. So that's always an interesting conversation to have. I am a certified inspector with the IICRC for both ceramic and stone. I'm not as global as some of the other guys on the call. I mainly do Northern California. However, I recently have been over into Nevada too, looking at job complaints, typically tract homes. And it's interesting. I got into it. I have Heritage Marble and Tile first. That was my first company about just over 10 years ago. I started to see a need in the marketplace for inspections and consulting. And the gentlemen here, the recognized consultants, feed me work when it's too far for them to travel or they feel like it's more regional. I take the calls. And what a lot of people don't realize, Mark, is that we all know each other. So they'll call around and it's like we all know each other. It's a very small cottage industry of industry consultants, experts. And so we all talk. We all are pretty much aware of the failures and stuff, that, especially on the larger scale, that are happening around the country. And for me as an installer first, I always try to educate. I don't want to throw the installer under the bus. I'd like to give him some valid information, or at least a place to go where he can get information or training. Because like the other gentleman, I do see a lack of training and education. And because a guy's been doing it 25 years, he does not feel the need to go and get trained because he feels like he's got the expertise to execute a job. Because our industry has changed so much in materials and it's become more complex with systems, they're just not getting themselves trained and up to speed on these systems. So a lot of times I'll see a mishmash of components used that don't work with each other too well, and usually cost driven, or being familiar with one material and not the other. And they'll just put it all together like a Frankenstein, like Frank said, like a Frankenstein shower. And it, typically it fails and there's no one to fall back on, because the manufacturers are not going to help out because they don't even know what materials, where they use their materials. So I think like taking a systems approach and getting the installer educated is really key into stopping the amount of failures. I don't want to make a living out of going out and writing a report on a failure. But yet nobody calls me to write a report on something that they're really proud of. So I'm yet to get that call. I never get calls on, will you write a report on how good my work is? So it's like, I don't want to go out and look at someone's work that's failed, but there's a need for it. There's a place in the marketplace for that. And just to have, but not only the installer, but maybe the architect and the general contractor understand what's going on. Because even though it is, or it seems, a very simple trade, it's quite complex by nature with all the components that fit together. And given what Donato said, it's not usually one thing that causes a failure. It's a combination of maybe 2 or 3 things that cause a catastrophe, and something that can't be pulled back and rectified. But, being an installer first gives me that kind of X-ray vision to look inside a wall without taking it apart, to get a better understanding of what's going on behind that assembly. And, I feel like with the experience, I've been in tile and masonry since 1978. I've learned the hard way too, made many mistakes along the way, tried to help people not make the same mistakes I made, but unfortunately, sometimes they just got to go through that process, and hopefully it doesn't hurt them too much. But again, I'm proud that I'm a recognized consultant, and really enjoy it. It's a passion for me also. So I'm just, grateful to be in the same company as these gentlemen.
Martin Brooks, thank you for your leadership and your guidance that you give to all of us. I can speak especially from the training team here on the NTCA staff. We really appreciate you and all you do for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Much. And one of the things that I hear, once again, all of you are on the same sheet of music. We're all pulling forward in the same direction. And nobody, not one of you consultants, I think, love to see a failure to have to
Nope.
work. We want to see our industry improve, and that happens through method, standards, education, and training.
It actually breaks my heart, Mark, to see, you know, an installer who's worked really hard and does excellent work on the surface. Some of the jobs that I've been to inspect look absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, it's what lies beneath that is, and the execution of what lies beneath is where the failure is. And just a few hours of education or a few conversations with a manufacturer would have helped them avoid that pitfall. And, you know, I've seen guys go out of business for a few $1,000s for something that could have easily been avoided with a conversation, yet they're unwilling to reach out because it's a sign of weakness sometimes. And, you know, because they've been doing it 25 years, they don't feel the need to reach out. And it's like, please reach out to me. I'm more than willing to take a phone call and help you with what you feel is, you know, you get to that moment in an install and you kind of know you've done something wrong, but you still keep going forward. You have a point at that time when you realize you probably need to make a phone call, but you still continue. It's just like when you should turn right on the freeway or get off on the off ramp and you don't, you keep moving forward and it costs you time. It's the same thing with tile. It's like, stop, make a phone call, call your manufacturer, call me, call anyone, but get some validation that you're doing the right thing, or stop and rectify it right there and then, because moving forward is not going to help.
That's the right time to do it, Martin. Thank you very much. Terrific advice. Let's move on to our next consultant. You may have heard a variety of accents, and you're going to hear another accent right now. I know he's proud of it. And I'm wondering if Niall Wadford has an opinion on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, we won't go there, Mark. Might take a little long, might get a little nasty. So we'll leave that for another time, and James and I'll duke that out later. But really good to be here, and like to reiterate what Martin said. I'm very proud to be in the company of these individuals. Learned a lot from all of them, and they've all imparted wisdom to me at various times, and referred some work to me, and I really appreciate it. I see some recurring themes here, Mark. We're getting, other than the receding hairlines, no hair, and gray beards, there are a lot of, quite a bit of experience in this group, but all of us have been in the industry for a pretty good while. And a lot of us came out of the industry, and I'm no different. I'm a second generation tile contractor, have an installation company as well. And started my consulting business 7 or 8 years ago because I basically got tired of giving away the information for free. Was spending a lot of time actually answering questions on other people's jobs, and they were asking for information on how to fix it, and then they didn't want to follow the advice. So it was very frustrating, and have gotten into actually providing some pre-installation consulting, and answered some questions, and our company as a result has become one of the go-to people in the area for advice for the A&D community on how to prevent some of these failures on the front end, helping them write specs, and looking at sites to determine what the best course of action is. But my company, my installation company, started by my dad 57 years ago. My sister and I are actually running it now, so it's still very much a family operation. My consulting work, most of our installation work is in central North Carolina. Occasionally we do venture outside that area, but 95% of it is in that area. But my consulting work is generally up and down the mid-Atlantic region of the eastern part of the United States, and have done some phone consulting, which is very interesting because you get various opinions and you get different pictures from different parties in the installation, trying to write a letter of opinion based on some information you get. And it's always interesting to see two sides of the story. But do that, some of that out of state as well. Like James said, all my reports are based on standards or best practices in the industry. Always refer back to those. And when that does not apply, which is a rare case, we go back to manufacturer's instructions for products that are not necessarily do not have a standard or maybe technically beyond what the standards already, a standard hadn't caught up to the product yet. I'm on the board of directors of the NTCA. I'm vice chairman of the NCA 108 committee. I'm vice chairman of the NTCA technical committee. I'm on the TCNA handbook committee, and I'm on the NTCA methods and standards committee. And all that means is, other than I have a great ability not to be able to say no to anything, it means that I've been in a great position. It's afforded me tremendous access to a lot of very good information, technical information, practical information, standards information that I can use in my consulting business and my installation business. We would not be where we are today as an NTCA 5-star contractor without this information, and probably without the committee work that I've been so fortunate to be a part of, with the knowledge that I've gained and been able to impart back to our installation community here, not just for us, but for some of my competitors as well in the area, to basically lift the quality of the installations and hopefully increase the use of our product throughout the industry. Because like you just said, we don't want to see failed installations. Personally, I would love not to have to go on a consulting call where a failure was the reason for being there. I'd like to go out and solve problems on the front end and use what knowledge I have to help prevent issues. But unfortunately, the majority of what I see are or job site failures. And I would say probably close to 85 to 90% of those are installation failures. The things that I see primarily as problems in the industry, probably number one, lack of properly educated installers. I think they have great ability. They just don't know what to do. They don't know what they don't know. Second one would be the lack of movement joints. People don't even understand what they are when you speak to them about it. It's almost like a foreign object that you're talking about. And when you tell them they need to be incorporated in all tile installations there, it's very new information to most installers that I talk to. And the third thing, I think it's probably been referred to as a Frankenstein job, but I see a lot of guys that are job site chemists, and they mix up their own formulation of product. They mix products together. It completely goes against the recommendations of the manufacturer, and therefore they have no warranty or have no help on the job if they do have a failure. And it's a roadmap to owning a failure when you find that kind of material combination, or if you've created something on the job site. So those are the things that I see most often, and a lot of them are done by installers that are not educated.
Niall Wadford, again, a recurring theme that I hear that Niall just said is commitment, dedication, passion, and caring, not just for their company, not just for the tile industry, but for the installers and the owners of those installations. It is about making it better for everyone. Isn't that right, Niall?
Absolutely. You hit it right on the head.
Thank you very much, Niall. Let's move on to our next consultant. We're moving up from North Carolina, northward up the coast towards the New York City area. Is that right, Rich Goldberg? How are you today?
Thanks, Mark. I'm doing well. I'm actually at my office and home in Florida right now. So I spend winter seasons in Florida now, but going to be heading back up to New York metro area soon. So I want to thank everybody for participating today, and it's really nice to see everyone after a very agonizing year. It's been, I know, very difficult for consultants like myself and everyone here that relied on traveling all over the country and trying to cope with that over the year. But as Donato said, somehow we were able to turn it into a very good year and use electronic means to continue our consulting in a very effective way. So my name is Rich Goldberg. By way of introduction, I'm an architect. I have a little bit different perspective from everyone in this group, which I think is always been good, but also maybe a source of frustration sometime. And I'll get to what I mean by that in a moment. But I'm the president of Procon Consulting Architects, as well as Professional Consultants International, and we actually have two different entities which gear themselves to both design and forensic investigation. So we're structured a little bit more differently, and have more staff than some of the other consultants in this group. I've been a recognized NTCA consultant for, I've been a consultant for over 20 years, and I don't know how long the recognized NTCA program has been in practice, but it's been over 20 years for me. And prior to that, I was in private practice of architecture, and also did a stint as the technical director at Laticrete for over 10 years. So I have an interesting perspective again within this group of consultants that I've been on almost every side of the fence. I've been a practicing architect. I've been on the manufacturing side. I've been a consultant. So it's been a very interesting and gratifying type of work that I've been doing. So a little bit about what our firm does. We're a little bit different from everyone else. Our firm focuses primarily on larger scale commercial complex construction in our specific area of expertise. And in addition to tile and stone, we also have expertise in concrete, masonry, all other flooring systems such as terrazzo, as well as ancillary systems like waterproofing. As far as tile and stone is concerned, we work on both interior and exterior floors and walls, as well as engineering of both adhered and mechanically attached stone and ventilated porcelain tile wall systems. So again, we deal with more complex applications. So given the focus of our work, we tend to be a little bit more multidisciplinary. And by that, I mean, we have a structural engineer on staff, we have a cost consultant, a code consultant, and also field representatives that perform on-site investigations and observation of construction. Our work is about evenly divided between proactive work. By that, I mean design, specification, observation of construction, and I'll expand on that in a moment, and divided evenly with reactive work, which essentially is forensic investigations and expert witness work in litigation support. There are periods of time where the forensic and the litigation support seems to be a higher percentage of our work, and that is the case at this point right now. Typically, after a boom in construction, when there is lack of supervision, everyone being stretched thin. Someone brought up before how work is being subcontracted. You see all kinds of problems come to the forefront and result in construction litigation. So there's a much higher percentage of litigation and forensic investigations at this point in time. As to specific issues that I see in the industry right now, I guess this saying is dating myself. It sounds like a broken record. I don't really know what the saying would be today, but like a broken digital trail. Uh, Certainly lack of supervision and training of mechanics on site is a big issue, as well as consistency of training and knowledge on large scale production projects. In some cases, we see projects where there are specific areas where, let's say on a retail shopping mall, specific areas of failure, and it's due to one or two specific mechanics which didn't have adequate training, and everything else is fine, but they were just unsupervised or untrained. This one deals a little bit more with my background as an architect. I see a lack of design professional training and information a big issue. And as an architect, a lot of architects consult with our firm, but I'm always somewhat appalled by the quality of the specifications that are generated by many design firms. But I can't blame them because they have a lot to think about. And when it comes time to finishes like painting or tile work, they just don't pay attention to that as much. So that's a big problem, and probably just as big as lack of training. And then I think lastly, and again, everyone else has brought up the same issue, the failure to follow simple directions that are provided by manufacturers, product data sheets and packaging, failure to follow specifications and even read the specifications. That is a very big issue. And again, everyone has been saying, there are people out there that are constructing large scale work and don't know what the TCNA handbook is or don't know anything about movement joints. It's really unfortunate. So those are some of my concerns today, and hopefully things will improve as the economy improves, and we'll go back to more productive, proactive work. And I guess I will end by saying that I feel it's important for this group of consultants to expand and look for new talent and try to get consultants more ingrained in the actual, as Martin mentioned, in the proactive process of design, because we just don't like seeing failures. We're much happier in seeing a successful project, and being involved in the early stages of design and specification is very important for consultants. So I would impress upon everybody here to try to get more involved with local architects or organizations to try to and train them, in addition to all the good work that everyone is doing in training the tile contracting industry.
Rich Goldberg, that is very sage and salient advice and recommendations and suggestions. I do have one question for you. As an architect and a specifier and working with engineers and specifiers and architects, do you find or do you recommend that those specifiers require qualified labor in the specification? Is that something that you would suggest?
Absolutely. And many firms now understand the need for qualified labor. And I would say at least 50% of the specifications that we see now on larger commercial projects require certified labor. So there have been tremendous advances in that area over the past 5 to 7 years. So that's really a good start.
Great. Rich Goldberg, thank you very much. And the qualified labor he's talking about is through the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation, the Certified Tile Installer and Advanced Certified Tile Installer program, and the NTCA 5-Star Contractor program. We can help you with more information on that in another program. Thanks again, Rich Goldberg. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for inviting me.
Moving on to our last consultant of the day, back to the center of the country in Wisconsin, in fact, is Mr. Tom Crevillian. Tom?
Hey, thanks, Mark. What can I say after this group of guys? Interesting to add up their years of experience. But like so many of them expressed, I felt that I got tired of getting the free phone calls asking for free advice, and found that as I moved into it, my reputation here, 40 some years doing tile contracting, people could never afford me the first time, but they could always afford me the second time. And I found that to be the case. I work very closely along with the CTF, Scott Carruthers. I'm also one of the regional trainers that work with that. And that has given me a good stepping board to get further into the consulting business. I find too that using the methods, standards, education, and training has been outstanding in promoting good tile performance and workmanship. And we are seeing quite a few failures throughout the Wisconsin area and also throughout the country as well. I'm just new to the consulting part of it, even though years back have always answered questions. Now just getting back into it, and much of what I've learned has come from these guys that are before me, going to their seminars, attending coverings, going to all those different events, training sessions, seminars that they would host. And so without NTCA, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in today, and I'm grateful for it. I know you're running short on time, so I'm not going to add any more of what these guys said, but just networking is ideal, and never think about it. It's too late to use the phone, or if you need to get a hold of Dave Gobis, use the email. I will be doing that more.
Do you answer the phone when it rings?
Yeah. Unlike Dave, I do answer the phone. I always check to see where the number's from. But yeah, it's, I know it's new technology to Dave, but I'm working on it.
Tom Crevillian, thank you very much, sir. And I do want to point out something that Randy Fleming and Rob Roderick can echo. If you want to meet one of these consultants in person, face to face, and have a chat with them, all you need to do is attend one of our NTCA workshops, because I can tell you, when we are in their town or anywhere nearby, they come and help us out. They come there to meet you, talk to you, and help improve all of us and the tile industry. I do want to say that we do have two other NTCA recognized tile industry consultants that were not able to be with us live today. That is Kent Glazer and Todd Duhay. Both of them are out on job calls that they could not avoid, and they send their apologies, and they will be with us next time. So I do want to say that, yeah, Frank, you have something to add there?
Well, I know Todd, if he was here with us, he would say at least it's cheaper to do it right the first time than to do it over. And I wish I could do it with his accent.
I do too. Talking about accents, I wish we would have had Todd today.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So Todd does say that, and if you follow him on social media, you see a lot of his posts with failures. It's cheaper to do it right the first time than to do it the second time. The same thing Tom Crevillian just said.
Exactly.
So get in tune with that. And we are going to take a little bit of a break, and we're going to come back for some closing comments, and I'm going to show you how to locate these recognized consultants right after we have our game program. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn the program over to Rob Roderick and Randy Fleming for today's edition of Ask the Ref. Rob?
All right, guys. First off, I want to thank all the consultants for being here today. And they've always been great supporters of Mark and Randy and myself, and been willing to answer questions and stuff. And just thank you guys for being here today. And thank you for always helping us when we need a hand. And one other thing, every one of you mentioned about, the average tile guy not being aware of the TCNA handbook. And boy, that's definitely what we've experienced as we've traveled all over the country doing workshops. Everywhere we go, we meet tile contractors that have been in it, 15, 20, 25 years, and they've never even heard of the TCNA. So it's a really, a great thing to be able to introduce them to that, especially when they embrace it and they become NTCA members and start realizing the possibilities with knowing the standards. So anyway, thank you guys for being here and all the support you always give us. But we'll get back to the game here. If you guys have not played this game before, basically what we've got in store for you is we have some questions that come from the NTCA reference manual. If you're not familiar with the NTCA reference manual, it's a tremendous resource. It's got a lot of information. It's set up in a problem, cause, cure format. A lot of it is. So it's very, very easy to use. If you got a problem, you can look there and it'll give you possibilities of the different causes and how to cure them. Also, there's some great letters in there. You know, what we found is a tile contractor in Connecticut, he can have the same products or problems, as a contractor in Utah. And so there's some form letters in there that can really help you when you're dealing with different situations that all tile contractors deal with. But our sponsors for this program is Ruby Tools and Custom Building Products. And the way we play the game is through the chat screen. If there's someone here that's not familiar with how to use the chat screen, basically you just click on the bottom of the screen where your toolbar is, and you'll see an option for chat. Click on that chat button and you'll see a box come up, and then you get ready and you can type in your answer. Now, these questions, again, they come from the NTCA reference manual, but they're set up as multiple choice questions. And let me give you a little hint. Don't type in the answer, type in the letter associated with the answer, because whoever's first on the chat screen to answer that question is going to win a prize from Custom Building Products or Ruby. So go ahead, Mark, and let's show them our first question and the information we have with it. All right. I know these consultants have seen something like this before, and if you've been in the tile business very long, you've probably seen it. So we're talking about tinning today. It's, you know, commonly observed as unbonded tiles, and they've moved from their original position where they were bonded. And the question that we have comes from the NTCA reference manual, again, that's set up in a problem, cause, cure format. So it's got a list of reasons that you could see your floor do this. And what we have for you is a variety of answers. And one of these answers is not going to be listed in the NTCA reference manual as a reason that tile can tint, like the picture that we just saw. So what you're looking for is the one that doesn't fit in. And this is for everybody to play. So everybody go to your chat screen, get ready to type in your answers, because we're getting ready to show you some multiple choice answers, and you need to pick the one that is not correct, not listed in the NTCA reference manual as a reason for tinting. Everybody's ready? Go ahead and show them our possibilities for answers, Mark. Okay. Guys, take a look at that. We're looking at, there's some questions about movement joints. It looks like the first one to answer is Corey Siegel. And the correct answer, or the reason that this, one of the reasons not listed in the NTCA reference manual as a reason for tinting is poor grout mixing. And everybody looks like we've got a lot of D's. That's the answer. But everything else on here is listed as a reason why you could see tinting. Most of them have to, you know, they're dealing with the movement and lack of movement accommodation joints or the concrete itself moving. But way to go, Corey. You did a great job. Mark will give you some information about how we can connect you with Custom Building Products and Ruby Tools to make sure that you get your prize. So, but thank you, Custom Building Products. Thank you, Ruby Tools. Great job, Corey. I'm going to turn it over to Randy for the second half of Ask the Ref.
I got to jump in here really quick, but why do we ask the easy questions when we have the consultants on here? I was looking for something really hard to see if they could answer.
Hey, well, and I'm glad that you brought that up, Jim. To the consultants, what we found is our questions that we've had previously on Ask the Ref, we had difficulty getting people to answer the right question. So we made an asserted effort to make the questions easier. And when I saw who was a part of this, I thought, boy, this was the wrong time to have an easy question, because we've got some highly intelligent, high-powered people in this team. So we probably should have went with our original format of having some difficult questions, but I appreciate you pointing that out, Jim. Yeah, this was a little bit easy for the bunch that we have here. So,
well, let's see if we can step up our game a little bit. All right, not too tough of a one here. So there's our TCNA reference manual, has some different industry methods for tiling over other materials, the TR 711, 712, and 713. Those are the approved methods. So what are the approved methods for installing tile over other surface materials? I've got a whole bunch of choices there coming up. You choose all the right ones, all the correct ones that are methods covered under TR 711, 12, and 13. So there's a handful of answers. You got to pick the right ones. Let's give them the answers. Let's give them some choices there, Mark. H, tile over tile, interior floors, is that one? Tile with organic adhesive.
I'm going to give them a hint.
Give them a hint.
I'm going to give them a hint. There's five correct answers.
There you go. That'll help them. So they just got to pull up all the right answers. So you got to pull the 5 out of the right ones. Nope. So it's not all the above. That's too many. So there's a whole bunch of letters there, and you just got to come up with the right combination. So should we be setting tile over tile with Furan mortar? Sean, you're close, but you're not quite there. Sean's close, but a couple there don't apply. So should we be putting tile over quarry tile with Furan mortar? Is that an approved method? No, that's not one of them. Dave is close. Dave Karp is close. He's not quite there. He's almost there.
I'm going to give another hint. There's no Q. Q is not one of the answers. I'm going to give that other hint.
If they changed Q, that would be, if they changed Q and J to another letter, they would be right on the money. So it's not J or Q. There we go. Sean corrected it.
Yeah.
HIRST, but if you respell that, Trish. So Trish Moss from our NTCA's office. So there is the answer, promoting our office manager, Trish Moss. So very good, Sean, you got it. We had to struggle, pull you along a little bit, but that's all right. We got you there. Congratulations.
Good job.
Yes.
All right. Congratulations, Corey and Sean. We are very proud of you. Thanks to all of you for playing along. And to claim your prize, please do us a favor. Send your name, phone number, and mailing address, the all-important mailing address, because we need to send you your prize to this email address, training@tile-assn.com. So email us at training@tile-assn.com. Send us your shipping address, and we'll connect you with your prizes from Ruby and Custom. Thank you very much. Rob and Randy, that's a great job. And I want to remind everybody today to opt in to our NTCA VIP text alert program. That sends you a reminder so you don't miss these terrific programs that we have. Send the message NTCA and use the number 31996 as the phone number that you text the letters NTCA to. I hope that's not too confusing. Try that. Opt in to our NTCA text VIP alert system. Thanks again to Custom Building Products and Ruby Tools. Thanks to Rob Roderick and Randy Fleming for hosting that program. And I want to thank again all of our NTCA tile industry recognized consultants. And as promised, I want to share with you how you can find these consultants for yourself. So what you have to do is go to the NTCA's website. This is our website. It's www.tile-assn.com. This is our homepage. Then scroll down right here. Do you see this section, this Find a Member section? If you scroll down to this link, it says Find a Recognized Consultant. Click on that. And that is the people that we've just been talking to on our panel today. You can see them all right here: Canto Tile and Stone, James Wellful, Donato Pompo, Tom Crevillian, Greg Moat, Rich Goldberg, Niall Wadford, Todd Duhay, Kent Glazer, who am I missing here? Sorry, James Wolfel, Dave Gobus, Donato Pompo, Frank Canto, Greg Moat, Martin Brooks, Niall Wadford, Rich Goldberg, Tom Crevillian, Todd Duhay, Kent Glazer. They're all right here on the NTCA website. This is where you find the recognized tile industry experts, and just click on their website right here and you will be in touch with them. That's how you find them. And I want to thank each and every one of NTCA's recognized tile industry consultants for introducing themselves to us today, telling them about themselves and about what they can do for you and to help our tile industry. Please give them a call. They'd love to help you before you run into a problem. That's the time to give them a call. And that's also the time to get in touch with your NTCA training and technical team. We're there to help you. We're there to help make sure that you don't have a problem. And that's what we want to do more than anything else. So on behalf of everybody that was here today, thanks for attending, and make sure that you stay in tune with us and join these roundtables. And we'll all see you next time. Thanks, everyone.
Great to see you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. See ya.